Hi, this is Amy Chomas with Chomas Creations, and I am bringing a video to you today showing the differences between the embossing tip and the engraving tip. And as you can see by looking at them up close, the embossing tip is solid aluminum, where the engraving tip, is that focusing, has a carbide tip to it. And it's pretty sharp, not sharp enough to cut you, but it's ground down to a nice sharp point. And it does different things than the embossing tip. So I'm going to show you what it does. I'll set these right here. First thing we're going to do with the engraving tip, I'm going to put it into the machine. There are no extra pieces. It just goes straight into the machine. And with the engraving tip, you only use an existing Cricut mat, nothing else. Do not attempt to use the engraving tip on the embossing mat. And I know this from experience. Bad things can happen. So I'm putting right now a clear piece of, I call it clear cardstock. It's like a clear plastic. It's very thin. And I am going to have my pressure on max. And I'm using Design Studio, and I'm just going to draw some circles onto this clear piece of plastic. And now what it is doing is it is engraving or etching, kind of like scratching the surface of this clear piece of plastic. And that is the look we're going for. We're also going to try it on something else as soon as this is done, and I can show you. And we're going to unload that. I'm going to take it off the mat and see if we can see how it etches into the plastic, and you can kind of hear that. The embossing tip would not do that. It would just glide across the surface. That's a completely different look. Now I have a piece of, this is called Coordinations, C-O-R-E, Donations, cardstock. You can see it's blue on one side and then it's brown on the other. Mostly it's used for sanding, but wait till you see what happens. I'm adding it to my Cricut mat. And I'm going to put it in the machine. Again, my power is max. And I'm going to hit cut. Sometimes with this you'll need a multi-cut, but right now I'm just going to do a single cut to see what we can get. And right now, again, it is engraving or etching into the brown surface of the coordinations, and now the blue is going to show through. There are a lot of samples of this on my blog because I just love this look. It just kind of has that shabby chic thing going for it. And I'm going to unload this. And you'll see it's not exactly perfect, but then what I like to do, this is just a little sanding block. I just give it a light sanding, and that gets some of that extra gump off. See, this probably needed a double cut. It would have looked better in a couple of spots. But you can see now that the blue is coming through. I did this before. The sample is on my blog. I don't know. This is just a plain metal sheet, and you can etch or engrave into the metal sheet. Again, that is with the Chomas Creations engraving tip, the one with the carbide tip. And it sells on my site as one single piece. This is what you get. It goes straight into the machine. Next, I have the embossing tip. Again, a single piece of aluminum. Again, straight into the machine. There are no extra pieces. Simple to use. And the embossing tip comes in a kit with a mat. This is just an existing Cricut mat, and I've added my mat to it already. I have a tutorial on my blog about how to put the embossing mat on the mat if you need that. Now I have a piece of this is a metal sheet. I'm going to put it over here for a second to see if we can see. This is as simple as taking a small piece of adhesive, putting it in each corner. You can tell I'm not using a lot. When I do bigger pieces, I know that like 10 Second Studios sells them in 9x12. I will add a little bit to the top and the bottom, about the same size, just a half to a quarter of an inch. And I'm just going to put this in the corner of my mat. Now this will go into my machine. And again, I'm just going to hit cut. I'm doing the same circle design. Now the embossing, you'll notice I put my colored side down, and I will show you why in a minute. The embossing is going to squish into the metal. It's going to give you an embossed or raised image. That's a lot different than just etching into the surface. And it's almost done. I gotta wait for my machine to be ready for me to empty it. There we go. Now when you're peeling this off, I just take it carefully off because I don't like to bend my image all up. And now you can see this is raised. And again, I'm going to take my little sanding block, and when I lightly sand this top image, because it's just a small layer of green paint, you'll see what happens, how it, and this, like I said, is raised. You can hear it, you can see it. I don't think I can see it on this angle. You can also emboss on vellum. This is just a piece of thin vellum. Again, I'm just on my embossing mat. I'm adding a little bit of adhesive in each corner. And I'm going to put that on my mat. Make sure it's on there good. Adding it to the machine. Now embossing definitely works better on multi-cut, but just so we can get this done, I'm just going to do it as a single cut, but you'll get the idea of what it does. And I like the look of the embossing because it kind of looks like, you'll see it just, it's kind of white where it is embossed into the vellum. Last one. Okay, let's unload that. And I'm carefully taking this off of my mat. And as you can see, let's see if we put this behind it, you can see it better. No, it's really better if you can have a dark piece of something. Here, we'll put this piece of coordination behind it. Then it really sticks out. You can see the circles. It kind of looks white. Again, that would even look better if I did the multi-cut. Again, I'm Amy Chomas with Chomas Creations. Stop on by anytime. I'm always adding new samples, ideas, tutorials, and videos to my site. Thank you.